Okay, so I'm back in the garage working on the car. Got the front bumper looking pretty good, but I'm missing some bright orange guys. Where are those guys at? Well, I got them over here on my counter, and they kind of look dull and terrible. So I went ahead and I just cleaned them and wiped them with acetone, and I'm using some clear coat Rust-Oleum, and I'm just gonna spray a nice little coat of Rust-Oleum on them. That way they're nice and shiny clear lens. So let's see here. Okay, it's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So that looks 10 times better. This one I just barely sprayed a little bit more and it was already like super runny. It's probably because it's so cold in the garage. Luckily the runs all ran down the face and you can't see any of them. And I'm not even worried about it because this one has like a rock crack in it. And I'm hoping that the clear coat will kind of actually keep it from breaking anymore. So I'm really happy. I like how these are turning out. Because currently when I turn my blinkers on, the blinker blinks real fast. Because I think only the rears are working and got nothing in the front. Still haven't put my little corner lights in. I don't think those blink, but nonetheless, I still need to put them in. The car's starting to slowly come together. A little update on my lights. I'll get those on and okay. So I got my keys. So here she is. Now, I did have a battery drain issue. So I used to disconnect my battery, but let's see, hopefully, yeah, that guy's still connected. This car's been sitting in my garage for a couple days now. Oh. With the battery connected. So I think I actually solved my battery drain issue. I'm gonna go ahead and fire this up. That was, I should have filmed it, but that was no gas pedal, throttle input or anything, just fires right up. Idle's high when it's cold, and then the idle will come down. And the temp gauge works, the fuel gauge works. Let's try again. No gas. There it is. Okay. So it does run, it runs really nice. It idles, it starts up real good. Just like I said, it seems to be a little bit down on power. I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. For all that I know, I've covered all my bases. It's got a new fuel pump. Clean gas tank. All the fuel lines are cleaned with the high pressure air compressor. All the fuel lines are replaced, the fuel filter, that kind of stuff. So fuel, air, no air vacuum leaks, no air restrictions. That's where it's at right now. It seems to run really nice. I really like this car. I really like this motor. I'm happy with the car. It runs good. I got to figure out the cams. So I'm going to do some research on the cams, and I'll get back to you on that. Alright, so to pull the valve cover on this guy's pretty easy. Just got a vent hose here, a couple spark plug wires. Toss those over there. Okay, so that should be it. I'm gonna go ahead and use my gun here. Uh-oh. Make sure to lose the bolts. Okay. I'm not right-handed. I'm using this gun right-handed. It's a little difficult. Okay. Alright, I'm switching over to my left hand because I'm a little stronger with my left hand. Okay, so I kind of glued this down the last time I put it on. Seemed to pop out okay. This guy's gonna be in our way. Okay, so let's see if we can come up with it. Dropped another bolt. Okay, there it is. Set this guy on the floor. So now that that's off, I might as well clean it and wrinkle black it, make it look real nice. Here we go. So those are not green, those look orange to me. Okay. So that's what I have. Might just leave that gasket on for now. I don't think it's hurting anybody. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and bump this over to top dead center, and I will get back to you. Gone ahead and I've put the motor at top dead center. Let me see if I can get you to see that light, or that notch mark. So we've got notch here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is there? Yeah, so there's 6 notches total. And we are on the second to last notch going clockwise. Okay. So that means the crankshaft is at top dead center. Now if I look at my cams, this cam, the exhaust cam looks to be pretty flat with this flat part of my cylinder head. My intake cam actually looks to be pointing down, so I might try and give my intake cam 1 tooth turn, and I'm gonna see if that works. If I can get 1 tooth turn on that, I'll restart it, see what it does, and we'll see from there. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna do a compression test on all 4 cylinders with it how it is now. I'll record that. I think it's roughly 50 PSI. I'm gonna fix my cam, and then I'm gonna do another compression test. That's what I'll do. All right, so I've gone ahead and I've put my Craftsman compression tester on. All right, so this is what we ended up with. 60, 55, 55, 60, okay? Now I think 1 and 4 had a little bit more just because the tube seals on the valve cover are bad. So when I pulled the spark plugs out, a little bit of oil went down the holes. So you can see these plugs are pretty wet. So I think a little bit of oil went down the hole and gave us a little higher reading, but 50, 60 PSI, that is not very good, but it's a healthy motor. So I think, what I'm thinking is, this cam being off a degree is our issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and re-top dead center. I'm gonna take this cam bolt out, and I'm gonna try and just turn the cam gear 1 tooth and put it back on and tighten everything. Rotate the motor around by hand, make sure everything works smoothly. I'll fire it up, see that it idles, shut it down, and then I'll do a compression test. I probably won't even put the valve cover back on. All right, so it was actually a lot easier than I was expecting. I was really worried it was gonna be hard. So now, if we take a look, I'm at top dead center. I don't have good lighting, I'm sorry. So anyway, we are at top dead center. My intake cam is flat with the engine. My exhaust cam looks flat with the engine. What I did was put it to top dead. I put a, what size is it? 26 millimeter wrench. Put a 26 millimeter wrench on this hex drive right here so I could hold the cam in place. Then I used a 15/16 6-point socket, which I think is a 21 or a 22 millimeter. And I cracked this nut. Once I had this nut out of the way, I wiggled this cam gear off. Now, there's a tensioner right here. This tensioner, you see I can move it? I just moved it. So that tensioner is gonna push this way when you take this gear off. So the tensioner is gonna push this way and you're gonna lose tension on your gear. So all I did was I used that wrench, I took my cam off, I turned it 1 tooth for what I needed it. I put it back on and I turned the cam to a line. There's a dowel pin that the cam goes into. And once I had all that, I had to hand press this tensioner back in. And with my other hand, I was able to slide the gear back onto the notch and then thread my bolt in. So that's where it's at. I've run it over now 2 revolutions to make sure that it doesn't interfere. I'm gonna go ahead and do a compression test, and then I will try and start it. Okay, so I just went ahead and finished my first compression test. Look at that, I'd say 125. 125 PSI. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on number 2, and I'll crank number 2 live so you guys can see. That way I'm not fudging the numbers, and we'll go from there. All right, I've got it on number 2 cylinder. All hooked up, ready to go. Let's go ahead and crank it. I gotta get all the way in the car because it has the clutch switch. Now I can tell you just the sound of it cranking is already much more impressive. Before, when it would crank, you could tell it had low compression. It didn't want to crank very well. Look at that, 125 again. Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and record this right here. Okay, on to 3 and 4 next. All right, I've gone ahead and slapped the car back together really quick. It's just an easy, quick valve cover and some spark plugs and wires. I'm gonna go ahead and start it, see how it idles, see how it runs. It has 125 PSI across the board, so it should start and run, and it should run and rev a whole lot better than it did before. Let's see. Wow, okay. Jeez. So I know I didn't take any before footage of the car, but I can tell right away that after starting up, it had a lot more life in it when it came to life. So right now it's idling at 1500, 1600. It's on a cold start. So it'll go up to 1600. It should come down to about 1000 is what I have it set to. I might have to change my idle air control settings because they were adjusted to the other lower compression when the cam was wrong. So now that the cams are right, I might have to readjust my idle air control valve. But I'm gonna give it some throttle blips. Wow. That's a lot more alive than it was before. Let me climb out of here. Woo! You switch you around. So it's running good. I got a little bit of smoke because of the oil dripping out of the valve cover when I had it all off. I'll probably hook up a timing light just to verify that nothing changed on my distributor timing. Let's see here. Wow, that is definitely running a whole lot better. I think I'm gonna go take it for a test drive. This is the best I've ever seen it. So you can't start before. You wouldn't be able to start in second gear. You know, sometimes you come to a stoplight, you shift down into second, and you just kind of chug through the light. This car will die when you do that. So if after changing the cams over to the new cams, if it doesn't die chug in second gear, dude, that's awesome. So I'm gonna go test drive it and I will let you know. I'm really excited. So I'm gonna verify the distributor timing really quick before I go. I'm gonna let it warm up and then I'll take it for a test drive. All right, I got the car running really good. I'm actually really excited how it runs. I did a little second gear chug along and it did it. So maybe tomorrow when there's some sunlight, I'll take you guys out for a ride along. But I think for tonight, I'm gonna tackle this valve cover. This valve cover's pretty ugly. I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is an original powder coat on this. I don't know what's going on here, but I do not like it. It looks terrible. I think a powder coat or nice wrinkle black will go really well with the rest of this car. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this valve cover back off, wash it, scrub it with some Scotch-Brite, get it ready for paint. All right, so I went ahead and sanded the valve cover. It's coming out okay. I tried to get all the purple off because the purple was flaking off just everywhere everywhere near the base, the purple would flake off. So I tried to sand as much of the purple off as I could. I've gone ahead and hit it with acetone. So now I'm ready to wrinkle black it. I'm just gonna follow the directions on the can. I think you do 3 light coats, crosshatch pattern, something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and hopefully it turns out good. There's the valve cover. Valve cover turned out really nice. So I got it sitting in the sun so that hopefully it'll finish baking the paint throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, I'll come back and I'll sand off the Nissan lettering